What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Broken Box. My name is Steven, and I am so glad you are here. Okay. I'm so glad you are here. Now, you might be wondering, what is this? What is even going on? What is Steven doing right now? Like, what is this whole setup? Well, let me tell you right now, all of this is nothing new. Okay, this is more of a return to form for your boy. What is the Broken Box? Well, it's kind of the place where I come to just talk about whatever's been put on my heart, right? And that can be anything. I'm not gonna precondition your minds and be like, today we're gonna talk about this, or the history of this podcast is going to be all about this. The story of this podcast. I'm not covering anything specific. I have some general ideas about where I think today's gonna go, but it's really just, I don't know, an opportunity for me to just say what's up here, what God hears in my private conversations with him, what my family hears, whatever. And just taking it and putting it out there for you guys to enjoy, for you guys to listen to, and I hope you get something out of it. So I hope that's a decent explanation of what it is that I'm doing here, what it is that's going on. Inadvertently, a lot of what we talk about is going to be God stuff. It's going to be God stuff. And even if you're watching this as someone who's looking at life from a different perspective, not from the necessarily Christian worldview, I would still invite you to just consider what it is that I have to say. Because I think even if you are not a quote unquote religious person, there's still there can really be a lot of value in coming to terms with this perspective, the kind of religious, I don't want to say religious, but the Christian perspective that can be offered in this episode and in coming episodes. I don't know where we're going from here. Okay, I genuinely don't know where this is headed, but I hope it is all for the best, right? So without further ado, I think today I want to start by apologizing in advance to all of my STEM majors, my math and science and physicists and astronomers and all those people. I'm sorry in advance, because today I think we're going to tackle how exactly God has the heart of an artist. Before I go anywhere, God has the heart of an artist. Let's just unpack that statement for a second. First question, why does it even matter? Right? Why does it matter that I talk about this? Why am I choosing to talk about this so early into being back, right? Why is this so important and valuable to me that we understand God's heart? Well, first of all, I think it's because we often forget that God is a person, right? God is this word that's so charged with religious baggage in the modern world that we've kind of forgotten as believers, and for anybody who's searching for an answer, that God is not just some far removed figure that just kind of sits above the earth like I'm sitting right now. That just kind of sits above the earth like I'm sitting right now and lords over everything and goes, well, yeah, let the children play. No. What I aim to do today, what I think we're going to get into, is kill that idea that God is somehow disinterested. He is uninterested in human affairs, and that he's uninterested in you specifically. And I want to reintroduce this perspective of God as an artist, because I think that's a really, really powerful way of looking and understanding his very nature and character. First of all, God being an artist is found all through Scripture. I mean, like, this book, the Bible, is full of examples how God is an artist. So I'm sorry to the scientists and math majors and all you people, but like us artsy, head in the clouds, frilly romantic types, like, I think we got it, man. I think we got the heart of God. I mean, think about it. The Psalms, right, is the biggest book in the Bible. There's 150 Psalms in here. And the Psalms have often been accredited as the place where you can really find an emotional connection to God. Is it any mystery that the most emotion-packed and the book in which you find the most of God's real heart, his person, is in the Psalms, a collection of songs, art. God is an artist. I just love that I'm able to do this where I can look out into the world, because it's like, Something created that. There was intentionality behind it. There was like a reason and a thought and a purpose behind why God said, okay, let there be trees and let there be clouds and let there be this beautiful sun that was casting this beautiful golden prime brown boy lighting my way. And it's kind of gone now, I think. But it's chill. It's fine. It's whatever. Why did someone specifically with an identity and a character and emotions go, yes, all of this needs to exist specifically for fleshy creatures that would walk on 2 feet, i.e. you and me. Why you and me? Why would that need to be a thing? God is an artist. It is written into every aspect of this world that we live in, and it's written into the way he communicates and deals with you. His love for you is something that you can only truly understand once you grasp this idea that he's an artist. I think by the end of today, you're going to walk away with like a fresh appreciation for God's love, because he loves the way an artist loves his work. Let's start right in the beginning in Genesis, right? In the creation of the world. It's found in the first chapter of the Bible. God is an artist that goes to work. He has an inspiration, an idea, and he just creates. He puts the sun, moon, and the stars in the sky, and he takes this void of nothingness and turns it into the earth and the surrounding galaxies, these galaxies that go on endlessly and endlessly that we can never find the end of, even if we had wanted to. He crafted all of that from what was essentially nothing. God is the uncaused causer, the immovable object, this permanent thing in our universe from which everything else just proceeded. It's art. There was an inspiration and an execution. The creation of this world was art. He looked into a black void of nothingness and said, I see a galaxy beyond anyone's wildest comprehensions. I see these vast, complex ecosystems, these clusters of stars and floating celestial bodies that will captivate humankind's imagination forever. I see this earth, the perfect habitat, finely tuned. Every aspect of our existence is finely tuned for us to be here, right? And said, I see these massive oceans filled with a diversity of life that you can't find anywhere in the world, and these unique, different kinds of people that inhabit and understand the world in a different way depending on where they live and their upbringing. And I see these people building cities and telling stories and going forward and creating a legacy for themselves, creating on their own just as I have created them. God looked into a black void and said all of that. He saw all of that. And then he got to work. That is when artists find inspiration. That is that moment. Because an artist looks at a blank canvas that's like this color. He looks at it and goes, yeah, I see seascapes and a beautiful cliffside. And I see a family running up and down, parents having a picnic, and I see birds flying and dolphins, and I see a beautiful garden. And see, that's what an artist does. He looks at something that is nothing and goes, I can work with that. A musician looks at a guitar and goes, okay, there's some strings on there, a little sound port for some audio. I can take that and I can write a symphony. The pianist looks at a piano and goes, yeah, these black and white keys, I can take this and I can make something beautiful out of it. That is what artists do, and that is what God has done and is continually doing. He is taking something and bringing it out of nothingness. He's looking at the empty canvas and going, I can work with that. That's what he did with this universe that we live in, and that's what he's doing every single day in you. But we're going to get there in just a second. In Genesis, if you'll notice, right, God creates everything else in our universe with his words. He simply wills it into existence. He's like, I see the galaxies, I speak the words, and then the galaxies just become, they just exist. This world, this food web and the evolutionary chain, all these things are like so finely tuned to portray the handiwork of someone who did it with intention. But the thing is, he looked at all this stuff this world that could exist without us theoretically, right? There's animals and there's birds and there's fish and there's all kinds of things in the ocean and there's vegetation, there's stars, and everything has been fine-tuned precisely for life. But then God goes, all this is good. And then he gets to work on you. But when he goes to work on you, it wasn't I see it, therefore it is, or I say it, therefore it is kind of situation. It wasn't like God went, okay, now let there be man. No. He gets down in the ground and he starts to shape. He forms you by hand from the dust of the ground, sculpting your physical body, your figure, your hands, your feet, your face, your eyes, your mind, everything about you, he crafts by hand. Physically. And then he comes in close and he goes, and he breathes, and then our eyes open for this first time. Adam, the first man, just existed. God breathed, and then he existed. Tell me there's not something so intimate about that. For everything else in creation, there was this like, I say it and therefore it is. I'm going to speak it and it will just come to be. But for you and I, he took the intimacy up a level. He said, no. For mankind, my masterwork, my masterpiece, the pinnacle of my creation, this creation into whom I'm going to impart my image and my likeness and who I am is going into this work. And he sculpted you. Sculpted. God is an artist. But here's the thing. Understanding that God is an artist unlocks a next level of understanding why life is the way that it is for those who have trusted God, right? Throughout the Bible, we see artistic imagery used over and over and over again. In the Psalms, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully and wonderfully, with intention, with an intimate intent behind it. We were made. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. That's in Psalm 119. So this artistic imagery of the heavens declaring the glory of God and uttering forth a declaration of his excellence, right? This just beautiful cosmic imagery. And in Job, when God appears to question him, he starts laying out the scenes of the universe, of these different planets, of these different animals, and these different cosmic events that are taking place light years away from where Job as a broken man is standing in that moment. And I'll probably end up talking about Job more at some point. But I'm just saying this idea of God forming the world and specifically you fearfully and wonderfully, intimately, God being involved and invested in this work the way an artist is something you find again and again and again. You are the potter. We are the clay. That's imagery used in books like Isaiah and Jeremiah, right? In Jeremiah, God highlights the example of a potter forming a clay jar from a blob of just gray clay, taking that blob of nothingness and turning it into something beautiful. God himself highlights that imagery. The skies are like paintings, and the interconnectedness of this world can be likened to like a symphony, a harmonious symphony, a harmonious existence. This is the kind of God that we get a chance to know personally, an artistic type, a creative. And in fact, I think that is why our greatest ability, our greatest gift as human beings is our ability to think creatively. Because problem solving is something you can even find in the animal kingdom, right? Some might be tempted to say that's our greatest gift. No. Our greatest gift, I believe, and maybe I'm a little biased, as you can tell by the books that I have around me right now, but I think our greatest ability as human beings is our inborn gift to think creatively. I think that is a huge piece of God that he imparted into us. He said, let me make man in like he said, let us make man in our likeness. When God said, I'm going to put my image into you, I don't think it was just something physical. No, no, no. It is who God is, his character, his nature. All that we are is just a trickle down reflection of who our creator, the original artist is. The artist leaves a piece of himself in his work. And kind of like how a good artist will sign a good painting at the very bottom. I think our creative nature is God's signature, his stamp of this is mine onto us. Think about it. What other creature, this is crazy to me. Like, what other creature in this world can just sit here and then go, you know what would be crazy? You know what I should do? Let me write an expansive saga about the craziest things. Let me just write about the story set eons and eons into the future about futuristic human races colliding with political and religious and societal conflicts that have been brewing for millennia. And let me write these interesting, complex characters that portray the best and worst of our human nature. And let me infuse this story that is entirely made up with a world fleshed out with complex ideas and philosophies and themes. And in essence, by the time a writer has finished making his magnum opus, he has played God in the world that he has created. For as long as we've been alive, people have been telling stories, creating their own worlds with their own fleshed out features and traits, these complex mythologies from thousands and thousands of years ago, now spiraling over into these crazy sci-fi stories and these insane plots, insane fantasy, like J.R.R. Tolkien, George R.R. Martin. Is that right? George R.R. Martin? George R. Martin? So whatever. The guy for the Game of Thrones. But like, the point is, like, this is just scratching the surface. The database of human creation is quite literally bottomless. We have a plethora of stories and complex cultural themes and songs and ideas and philosophies and dances and sculptures and paintings and art, all these different art forms, these artistic expressions that point to God's signature being on us. God said, I'm going to make you my own image. And part of that means you will have this kind of mind, this push to create. We're obsessed with creating. We love to create. And what is art for a human? It is nothing more than just an expression of what's in here. That's why art exists. And it's why I hate using ChatGPT for art specifically, not for other stuff. Like, there's a lot of situations in which it is useful, but art is inherently human. It's meant to be the deepest expression of human emotion, to a point where not everyone understands it, but a piece of an artist gets left in the work he creates. His heart gets poured out into a symphony that he writes, or into a book he's putting together, a story he's weaving, a basket he's weaving, a pot or a jar he's molding from clay, a statue he is sculpting. These things are inherent in our DNA. We are meant to create, and when we do, we are leaving a piece of ourselves in that work. And in the same way, God created this world and infused it with a piece of him. The heavens declare the glory of God, and we bear his image. Everything that exists, specifically us, we are walking, talking, breathing representations of the artist's handiwork. Do you think it's any coincidence that when God, for the 33 years he spent here on earth in human form by the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, do you think it is any coincidence that he chose to take the form of a craftsman, of an artist, of a carpenter? Before he was ever preaching and talking and doing all that stuff, he was shaving wood, and he was crafting it, and he was shaping these beautiful wooden furnishings. It's an art. God is an artist. Do you think it's any coincidence that when God, for the 33 years he spent here on earth in human form by the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, do you think it is any coincidence that he chose to take the form of a craftsman, of an artist, of a carpenter? Before he was ever preaching and talking and doing all that stuff, he was shaving wood, and he was crafting it, and he was shaping these beautiful wooden furnishings. It's an art. God is an artist. Before he was a preacher, he would go into probably his dad's shop, be like, "Hey, Dad, can we work on something today?" And he would say, "Here, come, let me show you something." And that's a crazy thought to me, like how, like, the creator of the world as a little kid in human form is coming to you. Imagine yourself as Joseph, and he's like, "Papa, teach me something," right? And so Joseph probably takes little Jesus' hands and shows him how to whittle and carve things from wood, taking a block of nothingness and just making it into something beautiful and functional, something that represents the creator behind it with his hands. I don't think that's any coincidence that God chose to inhabit that role. But here's the thing, and here's where I'm getting into really the heart of today's conversation, I think. It's the idea that we don't trust the process of a creative. We don't trust the process of the artist sometimes. I've just spent this whole time talking about how God is an artist, and you can see that evidence in everything that we are, particularly in you and in me. But then tell me if this sounds familiar. Tell me if this sounds familiar, right? You're like, "God, I want you to work on me. I want you to make me better. I want to be a better person. I want to become the best version of myself. God." And then he gets to work, and then you're like, wait. Wait, when I signed up with you, I didn't think it was going to get tough. I thought you were going to make me perfect, God. What's up? I thought the whole point of me living with you, having a relationship with you as God, was to make me better. Now my life is really tough, borderline tougher than it was when I started out. What's the deal, man? Why does life get harder when you put yourself in the hands of the artist, in God's hands? Let me ask you this. A piece of paper, when it's being worked on by someone who's making a sketch, if that paper was sentient, don't you think it would resent the person sketching? Because of the constant reworking and erasures and crumpling that paper up and just getting frustrated, and then you gotta redraw it again and again and again, and then erase again and again and again. Don't you think that paper would resent the artist? Or a sculptor, when he's chipping away at that huge block of marble, trying to create this beautiful statue, he's like chipping and chipping and chipping and chipping and chipping and chipping until it's perfect. Don't you think that block of marble would resent the sculptor? Or when the potter is trying to take a lump of clay, a lump of gray, nasty, shapeless clay, and trying to turn it into this beautiful pot, this beautiful, ornately crafted earthen vessel, don't you think that clay would resent the potter? Why does he keep working on me like this? Because the potter, as he's spending hours sitting at his wheel, spinning that clay and working it, smoothing out the rough edges, smoothing out its imperfections, removing those imperfections from it, and just working it and bringing it to a point where it can be used for something greater than just being a blob of clay. The artist is doing that. The potter is doing that. But don't you think that little lump of clay, when it starts off, is going to resent that potter a little bit if it was sentient? I'm highlighting these examples to say we put ourselves in the hands of God, and we're saying, make me into a masterpiece. Make me into the best version of myself. And then when he goes to work, suddenly we're like, whoa. I didn't expect it to get harder, though. Michelangelo said, I didn't sculpt it as much as I saw a man in the marble and I freed him from that. God sees a masterwork in you that is hidden behind layers and layers of imperfection, right? Because that is one of Christianity's most important points. The fact is that we are imperfect. God sees a new creature, a new kind of man, an elevated, different kind of being that could exist in you. A kind of being that got covered up, a part of yourself that got so buried under years and years of sin and regret and shame and mistakes. So now when you put yourself in God's hands and say, God, mold me and make me into something better, he's going to do it. But if he's got to free the David from the block of marble, he needs to start chipping. Masterpieces in the hands of an artist require time and labor and toil. And I think that's not something to fear. That's not something to be angry about. Because think about it. God cares about you enough. He loves you so intently, so recklessly, so fully, so uninhibitedly, if that's a word, that he would kill himself, that he would let himself die for that master work in you to be completed. That is called commitment to the craft. That is called commitment to the art. God created humanity to be his masterpiece, to be his representatives, but we messed up, we fell, and now we're in a situation where we are far from being representatives of God on this planet. We have covered that signature, that stamp of God that he put on us, and we've covered it all up, and we're like, yep, this is who I am now. I am a mess of problems, a bundle of insecurity, and a bundle of huge character flaws, walking around in this amorphous blob that kind of resembles a man. We're this block of marble. We're this lump of clay. We're men with hearts of stone, as the Bible says. And did you really think it wasn't going to take time to chip away at that? God's like, hey, you asked me to make you into this beautiful sculpture, this beautiful masterpiece, the kind of masterpiece I knew you could always be. How then are you going to lose your mind the second I start chipping away? See, in order for God to do what he's got to do, there's some things he's going to have to cut away. There's some drafts he's going to have to discard. There are some edits and revisions he's going to have to make in your story. There are some sculpting choices. There are some editing choices he's going to have to make, some notes he's going to have to rewrite, some imperfections and little pebbles and stones he's going to have to pick out of that clay that you are. Some excess in that block of marble that he's going to have to chip away at for you to become that beautiful masterpiece. Now the question is, do you trust the process? Now I want to ask you, if God's trying to get to work on you, on your character, are you letting him? Are you letting him? Or, tell me if this sounds familiar, when he starts to chip away, are you like, wait. You're trying to be the potter and the clay. You're trying to be both at the same time. You're like, God, I want to be tried by fire, purified. Take whatever you desire. Lord, here's my life. Wait. But not that though. Chill. God, I know you're trying to work on me and everything, but like, I can't ditch the homies. I know. They make me the worst version of myself, and anytime I'm around them, I'm just a terrible person. But come on, chill. Hey, listen. I don't gotta be perfect like that. Like, I can be good enough. Like, God, just cut around it. Just work around that. Just work around the homies. Okay. God, I want you to mold me and make me into a better version of myself. Yeah, but I'm like a young dude and I like women. So chill with that. Like, I don't know if I really want to stop. You know, I don't really know if I want to quit my Playboy lifestyle for a little while so you can get to work. How about you just leave that in there? Okay, just leave that in there. Just work around. Just cut around it, dude. Just sculpt around it. It's fine. It's fine. It's chill. It's chill. Oh, wait, chill. I have to. You want to get rid of my addiction, my social media addiction? Oh, come on. Well, that's not even harming my physical health like that. Like, I know I spend like 8 hours a day doom scrolling, but come on, just cut around that, God. Oh, I gotta forgive my family for the hurt I incurred as a child. Oh, chill. I just cut around that, God. And so we start adding this list of demands where like, God, I want you to mold me and make me into something better. But as he's working that clay, as he's chipping away at that marble, as he's writing your story, you're like, wait. Don't edit that out. Don't take that out. No. I don't know if I can do without that. But you can. When God goes to work on you, he is all in. When God goes to work on you, he is all in. Destroy that idea that God is some senile grandfatherly figure that just kind of sits back and goes, yeah, let the children do as they like. No. He's invested. He was invested in you when he formed that first man out of the clay of the ground with his hands and breathed into him. And he's invested in you now. He's invested in you, and he always has been. He loves you so desperately and so completely that he would die to complete that masterwork. He who has begun a good work and you is faithful to complete it. Are you going to let him? It gives me so much joy, I guess, to know that the creator of the universe considers me a work of art that he is invested in bringing the best out of. So I know it's going to hurt a little bit sometimes when he weeds out, when he shaves and plucks out and cuts out those parts of me that don't contribute to the best version of myself, but I've come to accept it, and I'm still learning to accept it every single day because I'm like, God loves me the way an artist loves his work. An artist loves his work so completely and passionately. Have you ever seen a real artist work? There's a piece of them that goes into what they do. They are so desperately in love with their project that they will rest at nothing till it's completed. The only thing that can make it take a little longer is if that project came to life and started giving the artist directions on how to make him better. When he doesn't have the full picture, I'm the lump of clay. I don't know what the end product is going to be, and neither do I have the authority to tell my maker, my master, my molder and shaper how he should mold me and shape me. I don't get to go to God with a grocery list and say, hey, God, I want you to make me X, Y, and Z. Oh, and if you could toss a couple extra inches of height in there, it would be really cool. No. That's not how this works. When I submit myself to God, I'm saying, you're the potter. I'm the clay. You have a plan for my life, a plan to prosper me and not to harm me, a plan for good and not for evil. So I'm going to let you work. And if that means I got to go through some struggle, if that means you're going to take me through something that's going to help me weed out the parts of me that aren't making me better, or weed out the parts of me that are detrimental to my future or my family, then so be it. Say you ask God, I want you to make me a more gentle, caring man. And then he puts you in a situation where you're going to have to get gentle real fast. Otherwise, you're out of a job. Or maybe your prayer is, God, teach me how to rely on you. Then he puts you in a situation. All I need is you, Lord. It's you, Lord. All I need is you. God's like, word? Okay. So I'm going to put you through a season where your friends might not be messing with you anymore. Your family might not be messing with you. You feel like you're alone and you're at rock bottom. Is all you need me? He's going to take you through these seasons where you can understand and come away with these profound truths of who God is and how much he cares for you. And once you're out of that season, you can look back at it and go, I learned this, or I gained this part of my personality, or God made me a better person through that season, which I thought was so difficult and I would never come out of, because he was working the whole time. Pain gains a purpose, and your trial becomes a testimony when you're with the master. All right, they say no pain, no gain, but no. Your pain suddenly gains a purpose. It's not just some nihilistic, mundane suffering that, the human condition, life is just, I just suffer. No. Now, when you've committed yourself to God, when you've committed yourself to the master and saying, hey, I'm a blob of clay, make me into something beautiful. Now your pain gains a purpose, and your testimony is just your trial is just a setup for your testimony. Once you've put yourselves in the hands of a master, can you really afford not to let him work? We're the ones being refined. We're the ones being worked. We're the ones having our imperfections smoothed out. So the best that we can do is trust the process. The idea that God is an artist is so stirring to me on an emotional level, because it just brings this imagery to mind of an artist pouring all that he is into his work. Artists have locked themselves in rooms and just poured over their drafts and sculpted and sculpted and sculpted and shaped and molded and painted and composed music, all because that is who they are. God creates because that is who he is, and he is invested in you. He's not sitting back and going, yeah, he'll figure it out eventually. No. God stands at the door and knocks. He says, son, let me work. Daughter, let me work. Kid, I have so much I could show you, so much I could make you. You just got to trust me. The question is, will you? If we are the instrument being tuned in the hands of a maestro, if we are the lump of clay being shaped and molded lovingly by the potter, if we are the block of marble that is being toiled and sweated over for hours and hours by the sculptor, if we are a branch of wood being carved by the carpenter, I don't think we can afford to not let him work. He's working on you, so give him time. And if you haven't given him the opportunity to work just yet, I would invite you to try it out, because God is a real emotional being. He cares so deeply. He gets angry when we disobey him, but he also feels pain in his heart when we fall away and struggle as a result of our own imperfections that he knows he could work out of us if we would just give him the chance. You are an embodiment of his creativity in flesh form. And he wants so desperately for you to know him and for him to know you on an intimate, personal level, because everything about his connection with humanity is intimate and personal. Because I'm promising you, whatever he's going to bring out of that painful process of creation is going to be so worth it and so much better than anything you could have ever imagined. Exceedingly and abundantly more than you could have asked, thought, or imagined. Thanks. My God, I've been here for too long. All right, let me wrap this up. Thank you all for joining me one more time, and I will see you in the next one.